As far as New York is concerned, the anti-Mamdani vote, which is really the pro-New York City vote, the pro-America vote, needs to unite behind the leading candidate, and that's Andrew Cuomo.
Welcome once again to the Dollemore Daily. If you're new here, am Jesse Dollemore. Today is election day. There are several very important elections happening across the country, from New Jersey to Virginia to the city of New York, with the election, hopefully, of Zohran Mamdani. And Donald Trump, the man who has cried and whined and complained and projected that election interference has gone on in this country at the hands of Democrats for years and years, and he has been a victim of stolen elections, is now illegally interfering in an election, this time in New York City, through intimidation tactics, fear, threats, the suppression of people's speech. We're going to get there. First, though, I want to talk very briefly about the race, You've got three individuals in the race. You've got Zohran Mamdani, the Democrat. You've got Andrew Cuomo, the independent, Democrat turned independent, who is now being funded by Trump donors, who is Eric Adams, dropped out to endorse him. Eric Adams, the Trump-friendly former cop, former mayor. And then you got Curtis Sliwa, the maroon beret guardian angel guy, who's the actual Republican in the race. And you would think that that would be the man that Republicans are behind, that would be the man that Donald Trump and Stephen Miller in this case would be endorsing. And if that's what you think, you'd be wrong, because they are putting the full weight and power and influence of the Republican Party behind Andrew Cuomo, who actually has a whole bunch in common with Donald Trump, from the abuse of women to the bungling of the pandemic. They're kind of cut from the same cloth, if you will. But let me tell you, if you ever needed a reason to not vote for Andrew Cuomo, the Nepo baby, the son of Mario Cuomo, famed Democrat nationally and especially in New York State, if you ever needed a reason to wonder why you should not vote for Andrew Cuomo, it's the fact that you're in the same company as Stephen Miller if you support him.
As far as New York is concerned, as you've talked about, as we've said, unfortunately, the anti-Mamdani vote is being split between Cuomo and Sliwa. And President Trump tonight put out a statement being clear that if you vote for Sliwa, who's polling at about a third of where Cuomo is, you're just throwing your vote away. The anti-Mamdani vote, which is really the pro-New York City vote, the pro-America vote, needs to unite behind the leading candidate, and that's Andrew Cuomo.
It's self-evident if you're on the same side of an issue, if your candidate is the same as Stephen Miller's, you're on the wrong side of history. You've picked the wrong horse. If the agenda of Andrew Cuomo lines up with the Trump administration, lines up with the ideals and ideologies of Stephen Miller, you're not in great company, right? Well, Donald Trump, enter Donald Trump. This should give us all of the reasons, all of the predication to impeach Donald Trump, to impeach him as soon as we have control of the House and Senate. Impeach Donald Trump for violating, through threats and intimidation, the voters of New York City. He took to Truth Social, saying this: if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home. Because of that fact, as a communist, this once great city, capitalized for some reason, has zero chance of success or even survival! Exclamation point. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm. And I don't want to send as president, and this guy loves the comma, does he not? This guy loves the comma just like many people assert that he loves children. And I don't want to send, comma, as president, comma, good money after bad. Whew, there's a period, thank God. It is my obligation to run the nation, capitalized for some odd reason, comma, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. Well, if no experience but a record, okay? That seems like a record and experience are two in the same, but not to Donald Trump, apparently. He was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked at the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially, again, the greatest city in the world, comma, he has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must always, it's hard to follow and read along with Donald Trump's posts. We must also remember this. A vote for Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, the person the Republican Party, the Republican voters in the city of New York have chosen to be their nominee, a member of the same party that Donald Trump leads, that guy. We must also remember this, a vote for Curtis Sliwa, the Republican, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo, the former Democrat, or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. What would be the reason that the likes of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller would be allying themselves with Andrew Cuomo? Look, I don't know much about Mario Cuomo. I've only heard good things. His reign and his political legacy really ended as I entered late childhood, early adulthood. So I don't know much about him. But I know his progeny. I know Andrew Cuomo and Chris Cuomo, the dipshit over at News Nation, who tried to cover for his brother's sexual exploits, sexual abuse of women. More than a dozen women Andrew Cuomo has groped, allegedly. He's paid settlements to women that he allegedly abused who were under his employ. Women who worked for him. Women who were trusting him that he would act in a decent fashion toward them. And you want to lend him, you want to send him into the mayor's mansion in New York. You want to put him back into the halls of power when he can't even keep his hands to himself, when he is responsible for countless deaths of elderly people that he mishandled relative to their health care and their accommodation during the pandemic. There's a very clear choice, and it's Zohran Mamdani in this race. This video will post at 1 p.m. or so today on the East Coast. I don't know who I would reach, but it seems to me that when you see people really jumping up and down in support of Andrew Cuomo, they are looking the other way of horrific behavior and crimes that are unforgivable of any leader. And again, when Stephen Miller is endorsing full-throated endorsement Andrew Cuomo, you got to ask yourself, which team am I on? Who am I allying myself with? What am I doing with my voice as a vote? When Donald Trump is leveling threats, intimidating the voters, I mean, it is violating their First Amendment rights, compelling their speech through their votes. He's telling them that if you vote this way, if you speak this way, you will be punished. I will withhold federal dollars, funding for the city of New York. You better act this way. You better vote this way or else. It's what it is. It's impeachable from the man who whines and snivels about fairness. Gross. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. I really invite you to this conversation. If you're a resident, if you're a voter in the city of New York, I'd love to hear from you. You can comment below. Let's have a conversation in the comments. You can also call the voicemail line. Let me say that again without fumbling the line. You can also call the voicemail line and leave me a brief, fewer than 3-minute voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can also email me daily@dollemore.com. See, I was able to get through it. I am somewhat of a professional, or at least I can fake it really well some days. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Let's go, Mamdani. Be genuine. Take care of one another. The headlines obviously talked about the passing of Trump's big, beautiful bill. But did you catch what the headlines did not make note of? This same beautiful bill hands over nearly $40 billion of our tax dollars to ICE per year. This is more money than most countries spend on their entire military. And we're granting it to our version of the secret police. Despite raids on the increase and Trump's near constant mention of deporting U.S. citizens, much of our mainstream media has avoided talking about this funding increase. Or worse, they have twisted the bill's language to frame this spending as good for the citizens of the United States. This should be the biggest story in America right now, and it's not. And look, you'd be naive to think that this is anything other than by design from the GOP. Tools like ground news are an essential part of your news consumption for examples just like this. By gathering the world's news in one place, organizing it by story, and then analyzing just how far right, how radical each unbiased source actually is, ground news will expose blind spots like this ICE funding, and it will give you more context than you can get anywhere else. Shouldn't we be learning from history? We have seen Trump's playbook before, and the comparisons to regimes of misinformation and terror are alarmingly plentiful. Ground news will help you stay ahead on immigration, the economy, or simply bring your attention to stories missing from your newsfeed. Both Ground News' app and their website are smarter, more reliable ways to access the news unfiltered, to stay informed in the face of MAGA wanting to keep us in the dark. Scan this QR code or head to ground.news/Dollemore now to score 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use, which gives you unlimited access for just $5 per month. Or simply click the link in the description below to begin saving big. The right is absolutely banking on you to be uninformed. Stay ahead and see all the news with Ground News.